Hi, and welcome to the third part in my series on altered dominant chords. So, we've looked at the theory in lesson 1, and we've looked at some E-type shapes in lesson 2. So what I want to do in lesson 3 is look at applying these shapes using those E-type root 6 voicings. We're going to be doing voicings with the roots in, and we're going to be doing 2-5-1s using the 2 and the 1 chord. You're going to use the C-type voicing, and the 1, as I said, we're going to stick to E-type voicings. So hopefully you'll find some examples here that are useful for your playing, maybe your solo playing, or your duo playing, or any swing type guitar. Some of the examples are a little bit complicated. They've got some awkward fingering, but it's useful to be introduced to some kinds of fingering that stretch the boundaries of what you can normally be considered to be able to do on the guitar. Say credit Ted Green for introducing me to these kind of somewhat twisted fingerings, but you'd be surprised at what you can do. Anyway, without further ado, let us go to the close-up view and go through some of these examples. Here we are with the close-up of the fretboard. You can see both my hands, and if I need to show you any right-hand technique, I'll just sort of shuffle along and sort of show you maybe a little bit further up the fingerboard, I should say. Anyway, without further ado, let us get on with these shapes. So they're all going to be in D major or D minor. I'm going to alternate between major and minor keys. So here's the first one. We've got D minor 9, no fifth there. Then we got A7 sharp 5, and finally we've got D major 9, no fifth. There's a nice bit of voice leading, a descending chromatic line on the top B string. So we do that again, finger style, as you can see. And that's also good pick style if you want to do this kind of picking of the top note. So these shapes are fairly robust, they're fairly easy and accessible. Now let's move on and do a minor key one. So here the first shape is E minor 7 flat 5 with a flat 5 on the top E string. That's nice. And now we'll do an E7 sharp 5 flat 9, A7 sharp 5 flat 9. Very nice. And finally we'll cap it off with a nice D minor 6. Lovely. Alright, let's do that again. Vibrato there. Beautiful. And that, just doing that pick style. Should say about this A7 sharp 5 flat 9, we've got this ring finger bar here. And it's a little bit awkward. Also notice how I'm using the first and the second fingers here, and that is a dead note voicing, so it's suitable for pick playing, as is the first chord. I mean, all these chords here, these shapes are suitable for dead note voicings that are suitable for rhythm playing. So they'll all stand up to a vigorous strumming action. Alright, let's have a look at number 3. Example number 3 is in D major, and this time I've decided to put the 5th in the bass for the first chord and the third chord, and the flat 9 in the bass for the dominant chord. Alright, that's kind of interesting. This works when you've got a bass player, but we're playing quite low. This 5th is quite low. It's normally where the bass note would be. So here we go, E minor 7 over B, A13 flat 9 over B flat, and finally we've got D major 6-9 over A. Beautiful. And this one inspired by the swing tune Django's Castle. So it's quite common with swing guitar to be using these rootless voicings where you've got a non-root note on the lowest string. It just gives you some nice rich voicings. What you've got to remember to do is to play them with a bass player, or have something like Band in a Box or some backing track, something supplying the bass line so you can hear them in context. Of course I'm not doing that here, so I'm going to contradict to my own advice, but you really, if you just got a tape recorder or something like that, it's really going to make a lot of difference. Alright, example number 4. Moving swiftly on, we're going to do an E minor 7 flat 5. This one's on 4 strings, 4 adjacent strings, so we make it a drop 3 voicing. Remember in guitar, we've got the drop, it's drop 2 voicings like this across 5 strings, and we've got the drop 3 voicings across 4 strings. Okay, so there's 3 sets of drop 3, and there's 2 sets of drop 2, which is, I suppose that's kind of convenient really. So anyway, here's the minor key 2-5-1 in D minor. It's E minor 7 flat 5, and now we've got an A7-13 flat 9. And notice how I'm using my thumb here. If we're using pick style, using the thumb is very handy. Otherwise, I would just use an index finger bar and use my fingers like so. I'm using all 4 fingers here, so there's 5 strings. So this is a very useful technique as well. 4 fingers, but let's say I'm doing it, playing pick style, so I'm going to use my thumb here. So it's worth developing that. And finally, I'm going to cap it off with a D minor major 7. This is a tense tonic minor chord. So I'll do that again. That's very rich. It's a bit of a harmonic minor type harmony. Alright, example number 5, 2-5-1 in D major. Now this time, for my tonic chord, I'm going to use a D minor 11. So this has got a 7th, a 9th and 11th. A third, a 7th, a 9th and 11th. And now I'm going to go for an A7 sharp 5 sharp 9. Now this one, unfortunately, I have to sort of stagger it. I have to play the bass note and then the rest of it. Or I could use it pick style, or I could use the open A. So I meant finger style there. So some chords are just awkward, but it's kind of worth struggling to get them just because the sound is so glorious. And finally, we've got this D major 7, unusual voicing here. So it's all about the voice leading on the top notes. So that one might be a bit of a matter of taste. I mean, it sounded good to me at the time, but who knows, maybe my taste is a bit dubious. So here, next one, I thought I'm going to introduce some stupid fingering. So what we tend to find with our minor 7 flat 5 chords is we're a bit restricted when it comes to introducing other tones. You want your 11ths, maybe your 9th, your flat 9th, stuff like that. Well, stupid fingering, as I'm going to call it, is a way that you can do it. So normally we have this kind of fingering. Maybe we can do a diagonal bar with the index finger if we want to double the flat 5. But as we know, doubling notes in jazz chords just ain't where it's at. So what I'm going to do is try and play this note as well. And there's an easy way to do this. It's kind of like so. And we're missing out the minor 3rd here. That's, if you want to do it the easy way, there's no problem with that whatsoever. But here's the stupid way of doing it. You do a middle finger bar flat across 2 strings, while your 4th and 3rd finger play. So that's a basic, that's doable. That's the basic half dim shape. But now the index finger is gonna get this note, and the middle finger, see if you can see that, the middle finger is actually gonna clear that high E string. So it is doable. It's possible. Okay, this is a bit of a slower chord, but you know, it takes it a while to get on. But you know, for solo playing, it's top. Okay, now we go. Sorry, A7, sharp 5, flat 9. You can either use two fingers here, the second and the third, or you can do a middle finger bar. And again, I encourage you to kind of experiment. You know, maybe you don't have to do these kind of things, but if you get into that habit of doing them when you don't have to do them, you know, there may be easier ways, but you just on the guitar, you just don't have enough fingers to get all the notes. So, you know, if you just make a habit of always practicing this kind of stuff in your regular chord progressions, and when you come across some stuff that absolutely has to use its fingerings, you won't find it so difficult. So let's do that again, and then we'll go here, and then finally we finish off with a D minor 6. Okay, so what we've got here is this note A in the top. It's a common tone to all three chords. So I'm going to do it finger style. That's nice, dark kind of sound. Alright, number 7, D major again, and this time we're going to use 5-note voicings. We're going to have the 5th on the top. Here's the E minor 9 with the 5th on the top. We've got this 3rd finger bar again, very, very useful. Okay, now we're going to go to A7, sharp 5, flat 9. Now notice we've got that action there. So all three voices moving down. And then finally we're going to play D6 major 6, 9. So we've got this very strong movement of descending fourths. So it's quite a bit of rigorous ring finger barring there. You know, your ring finger gets a workout, but it's the way it goes. You know, you didn't decide you were going to do jazz because you wanted to have an easy time, I'm sure. All right, and then I'll cap it off with a bit of a weird one. We're breaking the rules a bit here. We're going to have it's going to be in a minor key, but you know, maybe, you know, the first chord has got a regular 5th in. Normally, and then technically, according to theory, it should have a minor flat 5, but you know, this is just like a modal kind of chord. 7, 11, no 3rd. It's a quartal chord in the main. Yeah, do that. And then I'm gonna throw in a bit of an unusual A chord. This is an A13 sus flat 9, so it's advanced sus chord. There we go. So, and then we'll finish off with a D minor major 7. A dead note voicing for a D minor major 7 that we haven't used yet. Sorry, flubbed that up. What we're doing. Alright, and that's it. Okay. Alright, well, that's it for this this lesson. You know, I hope you find some stuff here that's useful. As always, what you've got to do is take the examples, you know, look at the principles behind them and mess around with them. You know, a lesson is just a small example of what you can do, obviously, but you've got to develop your own approaches. And sometimes the contents of a lesson won't really make sense straight away, or you know, you just won't be receptive to it straight away. But you know, be prepared to go back to it. Enough of my philosophical rambling. Hope you've enjoyed this lesson, and till the next time, take it easy. Goodbye.